Hey, Brother Sew's Sewing and Crafting family. The brand ambassadors are taking over again today. I'm Angela Wolf, and
I'm Emily Thompson.
We've got a very fun project for you guys today. So, well, kind of more of a learning thing. So if you've never been here before, say hi, say where you're from. So Emily, how have you been? Haven't seen you in a little while. Kids are back to school.
Yes, it's been since last month, I think, that I was on, and things are feeling pretty good around here. The kids have had, I think, 28 straight days of school with no problems so far. So yeah, we're just clicking away here, and I'm trying to get things done at home, and things are going well. So I'm happy to be here today.
Sounds fantastic. I've got a pants class behind me. This is our last week we had a class, and this week this was scheduled last February, pre-COVID, but it still worked out, and everybody's making their pants. So today with your lesson, this is going to tie in perfectly.
Yes, I am excited. So I just actually added the link to my tutorial in the comments. So if people want more information, they can go ahead there. But this is actually a really old tutorial that I put up on my site, and one that I've been hoping to redo actually soon. But I, several years ago, made all of the kids like formal wear for my brother's wedding. And while I was doing that, I kind of pieced together several tutorials. And there's many ways to do this. But I was sewing clothes for kids that I wasn't with. And so I wanted to make sure that all the boys' pants had adjustable waistbands, so that if it didn't fit exactly how I planned, that we could go ahead and just cinch that up. And actually, I have a daughter who is very tall. Well, not very tall. She's normal height, but she has no hips or butt. And elastic waistbands or an adjustable waistbands literally save our life every day. So otherwise, we'd have no pants that could stay on.
That was bad.
I ordered like super skinny jeans from Old Navy, and the only way they are staying up is because I've cinched the waistband that came in those super tight. So this is a great way that you can do this on your own clothes that you're making. And whether it's just because you change sizes, or because, I mean, I do this especially with kids' clothes because they do change, or some of the pattern that you're using might not fit them exactly. And if you're like me, I don't always sew when my kids are around for fittings. And so this is just a great way to make sure that those clothes will fit for either a length of time or for kids that you're not with. So yeah, so that's what we're going to do today.
That sounds fantastic. Before we go to that, I see one question. I know I'll lose it later on. So Leslie, congratulations on your Luminaire 2, by the way. And to get to the masterclass, ask your dealer, because there's an extra package with that. So just ask your dealer and you'll get, there's a special package. So you can also message me and I can tell you where to go get that. So, all right, Emily, I'm ready. We want to see this, because when you're finished with that, I'm going to bring over Shirley here, my dress form, and show how to make a waistband from scratch, because
nice.
Sometimes our waistbands are always straight, and unless you're putting plastic in there, they don't fit always.
Exactly.
So that's my tip. They're all finished.
Okay, awesome. All right, so I have pre-made a tiny little pair of pants. I don't think these would really fit anyone. I just sort of free-handed pant pieces yesterday, but I thought if it was nice and small, one, we can see it easily, and two, it'll just go quickly as we put this together. So I have my pant backs and my pant fronts, and sorry, I was super busy this morning running around, so I did not get a chance to iron my fabric. So you'll have to deal with
I like those mini pants though.
Wrinkly little mini pants. So I'm going to go ahead and first sew the side seams, and then we'll cut our waistband to size. And what I'm using today are 2 buttons and buttonhole elastic. So this is sort of the key piece in making an adjustable waistband, and I always keep this on hand. You can buy it by the yard. It's really great, and it is what you need to make adjustable waistbands. So I've also pre-cut my waistband, which will be normal width, even though we have tiny pants. So I'm going to swing my camera right over here to my sewing area, and let's sew up these side seams.
Sounds good. We can see you great. Your camera looks great.
Oh, great. Good. All right, so I'm just going to sew the side seams with the serger here down with the right sides together. And so, of course, this is just the waistband. And so you'd be following all the other directions as written in your pattern. But you can go ahead and add this adjustable waistband to any pants pattern that has a waistband. It does not have to be written into the pattern for you to be able to easily create this. All right, so once you get to the part of your pants where you have a completed top, and you could sew the inseam. I'm not going to bother because it's not important to this part of our tutorial, but you'll find the back of your pants, and so I'm going to mark the back. And your waistband can either be 2 pieces with a side seam, or it can be 1 piece with a back seam. It's up to you depending on, I guess, what sort of pants you're making and, you know, all that good stuff. So I'm going to create, just for the sake of it being easy, a back seam. So what I want to do is I want to cut my waistband the width of my little pair of pants here. Just if I move it over here, you can see it. So I'm laying them down flat. And then I have, this waistband is cut the width of regular elastic. So it will look kind of funny on these tiny pants, but it will go faster because we can just sew around. All right, so we're gonna cut this to size, and then I'm gonna go ahead and sew this. Actually, I don't think I'm gonna sew into a circle yet because it is pretty tiny. So essentially what we want to do is on the sides of our waistband. So if I make this into the circle, it will be. And then I'll kind of mark the sides here. Grab some pins. We're going to be adding 2 buttonholes and 2 buttons. And then we thread the buttonhole elastic through those buttonholes. And then they can button onto the buttons. And that's how usually it's just on the back part of your pants. You have the elastic on the back part, but it's also adjustable because you can pull it through the holes. So if this were a full-sized waistband, it's pretty easy to sew the buttonholes while you have it sewn onto the pants or while you have it sewn into a circle. But because mine are so small today, I guess I didn't really think through that part of it being tiny. I'm going to sew the buttonholes first before I go ahead and sew this into a circle. So you need to think through the buttonhole placement. Our elastic or our waistband will be folded in half. And so we want to make sure that it's on this front side of the half. So I'm going to place another pin. And these pins are approximate side seam placement. And so we want our buttonholes to be about on the side of the pants. So we're going to put our buttonholes, and I've already sized my buttonhole on my machine to be the right size. I just use my normal sort of rectangle buttonhole. If yours has fancier sort of ovals, you can go ahead and do that too. And then we're going to sew 2 buttonholes onto this waistband before we move on to the next step. So that is what I'm going to do. I've got my buttonhole foot on my machine. And the most important thing, again, that I'm making sure of is that when I fold the waistband over, that the buttonhole is going to be on the front half, which we can make either one the front half so far, of my waistband. Not too close to the bottom because that's your seam allowance, and not too close to the top because that's your fold. So kind of in the center of that part of the waistband. So let's see if I can, oh, I forgot I moved my machine the other day. So my foot's all in the wrong spot. All right, let's go ahead and sew this waistband, or sew the buttonhole, and then see if it's in the right spot. So I've got red thread on here, so you can easily see what I'm doing.
So while you're doing that, I saw somebody ask if you're using doll clothes, and I'm like, no, those aren't doll clothes. What she said is she made smaller pants so she could actually show the description a little bit better. So that would be good for doll pants, but I don't think they have a problem growing. So I think you're good on that. Last I checked.
It would be very interesting to put an adjustable waistband on doll clothes because, yeah, they're not growing at all. But yes, I'm just making it smaller so that everything hopefully is easier to see. Sometimes I find, even when I'm photographing a tutorial, that it's difficult to get, you know, the width of something when it's full size. So I thought I'd go mini today. I may have not thought through all of the parts of this being mini, but I think it will get the general idea. It also goes a little faster than when I'm sewing something huge. I was doing a show on It's So Easy, and I was doing a round makeup bag, and the test one that I had made was pretty small, and I just, for some reason, decided that it'd be a great idea to make a bigger one on the show until I was like stitching all the way around the perimeter, and it was taking forever because it was so big.
Been there, done that before. That doesn't always work out so good either.
No, I should have made the tiny one on the show. This was not thinking through correctly. Okay, so we have our buttonholes, and let me just quick open those. So this actually doesn't have to be the size for any button because no button is going to go through this hole. The elastic is going to go through this hole. So you just have to make sure it's big enough for your elastic and whatever you're using to thread your elastic to go through. And you don't want it too small because then the elastic will be folded and bunched. So I did make it about the same size as if I were putting those small white buttons that I'm going to be sewing on. But you wouldn't have to do that. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is sew my buttons on. All right, so again, this is the waistband. We've got it folded here. These are going to be the side seams, and so I want the buttons sewn to the front of the buttonhole. We're putting just a single, where did I put my needle? A single seam in the back of our waistband.
I agree, Marcia.
Yours might, let's see, your waistband might have two side seams, but it felt a little bit strange to put two side seams on such a tiny little waistband. So I'm going with the back seam, which honestly for kids' clothes I like to do because then it makes it very obvious where the back is for them. But if your pants pattern has, which it probably does, has side seams on the waistband, just go ahead and use that, and then it's easy to see where you're going to put your buttonhole placement and then where you're going to put the buttons in relationship to that.
So Emily, while you're making the buttonhole enhancer for our pants,
Yeah.
My pants class, we're all having, Wynn dropped us off some cheesecake. So we might all need to be making those pants extenders here in a few minutes to go into our new pants.
I'm not going to stitch this button on with great strength, so I'll just do a couple of stitches here. But again, this is what the buttonhole elastic will stick to. So you want to make sure it's sewed on well so that elastic isn't popping off your pants. But when we have just demonstration, we can get away with not doing things quite as securely. Oh, I probably should not use my teeth, but that's my natural reaction.
That's so bad. My husband does that with fishing line. Bad.
You can see what my natural reactions are when I'm not thinking.
Snips.
Through things.
Oh, Karen, glad you found it. Yes, and you go back and watch it from the beginning too to see what she's doing. So it's really cool. Great to see you on here.
Okay, so we are setting up the button and the buttonhole placement for our waistband. And then the next thing we'll get to do, which is the fun and easy part, is sew it onto our pants. You can make the tutorial that is on my site has a fully enclosed waistband where you sew one side and then you would press over the seam allowance and then, you know, sew the second side. So you're not seeing the stitching or anything like that, which is, of course, nice. Today, I'm just going to stitch this on in one step instead of two, so you can see how it looks on the pants. But you probably would want to make an enclosed waistband or follow the way that your pattern has the waistband written for attachment. So I'm just showing you how to set it up and add the additional features of the adjustability. You can also, and I have done this, is take a pre-made pair of pants and pick the waistband open to add this adjustable aspect. And I've done that when kids, you know, it doesn't fit, but the rest of it fits. And so I need to figure out a way that my kids can actually wear these pants and make it work. So now we have, so you can see the inside of our waistband has buttonholes and buttons. And I guess I want to think through what are the right sides. So when I flip this waistband up, my buttons are on the inside, not the outside.
So, you know, Emily, that is a great trick to do in jeans. When I used to do alterations for some women, if the back of the jeans would kind of gap a little bit and that's already, you know, ready to wear jeans, that's kind of a really big pain to sew and, you know, replace all that top stitching and stuff. So anyway, you could just slide those right into the sides and it's great. That's exactly what you're doing. It's perfect.
Yes. So yeah, adding that extra elastic solves many problems that you may have with, especially pants that you've already bought and you're not really going to rip them all apart and start over. So
no.
All right, so I've got my little waistband attached, and I've put the right sides together, which means we can actually see our button, and which is going to be good because as I'm sewing around, this might get a little bit in my way, so I'm going to have to just be careful when I go by there. Again, I'm just going to use my serger to attach it quickly, but it won't look the nicest. So if you are making pants, you're going to want to follow probably the instructions in the written pants for waistband attachment, but this will show us the functionality part of adding this. And it's really simple. All you need is some buttons and some buttonhole elastic. And like Angela said, you can add this to both your ready-made clothes that don't fit quite right or a pattern that you're creating from scratch, which is a little bit easier to add it as you're constructing, but not impossible to add it after either. And these are so tiny, we're almost all the way back around. Okay, so now we can turn up our waistband. Okay, so here's the front and the back. And
oh my God, that's so cute.
It's kind of funny how tiny they are. Okay, so we can see on the inside now, we still have the buttonholes and the buttons. And so I'm going to take my elastic threading device and just a length of buttonhole elastic. This will be way too long when I'm finished. And we're going to stick it in one buttonhole. Again, make sure they're big enough for your threader to go through and your elastic. So I wouldn't want to be, I have about 1/2 inch buttonholes and I really wouldn't want to be any smaller because I have to get the elastic through actually.
So Marianne, if you message me, I can give you some ideas on where to find some elastic. So brother doesn't sell it. So just message me or message Emily. We both can give you some ideas on that.
It's called buttonhole elastic. So it's pretty easy to find if you know what you're looking for, but all right, so because we're so small, you can see I've already come out the other side. And so I'm just working the elastic out the front. And you can, at this point, you know, stitch down your elastic so that it can't come undone. I sometimes will just button it and not actually stitch it. But if you're worried about it popping out, go ahead and, button it, or stitch it down to the waistband. And then you're going to turn it to the other side and button it as well. And then at this point you can trim if you're sure that's a good size. But so you can see how on this waistband, the front is just a flat front waistband, and the back is now this adjustable elastic waistband. Again, wonky pair of pants, but
which is so cute.
You can see that how the waistband will work in a larger sense. So
yes,
there you go.
Hey, Sharon, she just did a smaller size if you missed the beginning. Just make the demo faster. So yeah, you're right. It would fit about 2 hands. Actually, no, I was with a lady today. Her little one is about going to be 1, and he would fit not 1, but he's really tiny. Those would fit him perfect. Send him on over.
Anyway, so yes, easy and simple, and you know, just a great option for sewing something that you want to have multiple sizes in.
Which is awesome. So I see there aren't too many questions. Everybody's just saying this is a great tip. I agree, Jenny. Great tip. That's something that you can do for jeans, for ready to wear, clothes that you already have, anything like that.
Yeah.
Now, I had a quick question. So then will the buttons be, let's see, will the buttons be rubbing on your waist then?
So yes, they do touch your waist. So you'll want to make sure you use pretty flat buttons. I've never personally worn pants with elastic waistbands, but all of my kids do. It's pretty common actually in a lot of ready-to-wear kids' clothes. So I think that's what kind of inspired me to begin with to do this. But I haven't really had any complaints. The only thing is I think sometimes we've had it where it's too tight and then the buttons are rubbing. But generally, if it's fitting nicely and not, you know, really restricting, then the buttons don't seem to bother them. So just make sure it's a nice flat button and nothing weird or decorative in there.
Sound like no blingy buttons.
No blingy buttons. No.
She's never heard of button elastic. Could you also use braided elastic? Are those pretty similar? Do you know?
Does it have holes? It doesn't have holes in it. You're wondering, could you cut holes?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's what the difference is. So that's what the difference is. That one has buttonholes in it.
Yeah. So it has already holes in it, and you could cut holes in any elastic. I'm just wondering how much it would fray and pull. So this, it's finished on both ends. So really, as you stretch it, it's not going to go anywhere.
Right.
And I just buy this stuff in bulk, so I always have it around. So I can't even tell you the last time I bought some, but yeah, I think it just makes it so it's not going to fray open if you cut it.
Yeah. Cindy said, tuck in the shirt, then you're all good.
Right. Yes, totally.
Yes. So what a great idea. Thanks so much, Emily.
You're welcome.
I think that would be good in skirts. I mean, I could think of a ton of stuff that would work in.
So actually, I just made my daughter this little corduroy skirt. And I didn't add buttonhole elastic, but the back is, you know, does have elastic in it. So I was just thinking when I make her another one of these, I'm going to add the buttonhole just so it's easier to adjust. Because sometimes I'll measure and I'll get it all sewn up and then it's still not quite right on her.
Right.
Or, you know, she was wiggling or for whatever reason. So if it was adjustable, then I just don't have to worry about it working perfectly the first time. So yeah.
Definitely. Hey, Beth wants to know, how wide is that elastic? Just
this is 1 inch. This is 1 inch. Yeah.
Awesome. I agree, Lisa. It's super fast. All right. So now that you guys can still ask your questions, I'm just going to show a quick tutorial on how I have my little dress form here. I call her Shirley. And I'm just going to show this real quick on how to do your waistband. So see if I can get right on the right camera here. There we go. Hey, so this is super fast, but if you're making pants from scratch, like we're doing here in my class, quite often a straight waistband will not work. So if you've seen patterns and stuff like that, for kids it'll work, but not necessarily adults. So I have this here, and what I usually do is I will have my pants ready. I mean, she's a little naked, but you know what I mean, pants ready. This is my dress form. And I will tie it tight around the waist. And so if I do that with pins, I'll see, make sure you can see this. Emily, can you see this okay? Is it too light?
Yeah, no, it looks great.
Great. So what happens when you do that, when you pin the center front, which would be if that's where your fly was, then you have this gapping. Not always. I mean, if you have a fuller tummy, you maybe don't need darts. You know, darts are for curves. That's the same thing with this waistband. A straight one, if you have curves, won't work, because I have all this gapping. So what I do is I usually start at the back, or wherever on the body where I can have a few little tucks. It's usually at the waist. Like this, and maybe right here. Oh, thanks. I got pins. That sounds like that movie, I Got Worms. Weren't we just talking about that movie? Okay, so you pin in the back here. That was a joke in case anybody does not know my sense of humor. Okay, and now back to the front, and see how it's a little bit lower in the front? Usually when you're sitting, it's more comfortable to have your waistband up a little higher and lower in the front, usually, because then when you sit up and down, you don't end up with your pants falling down, and you don't have so much here that you just end up with all this bulk. So then I go to the front, and I'm giving myself a few more darts. And if you can see from there, I'm actually pinning where it's a little bit higher at the top, and it goes out to nothing at the bottom. And you might have 2 of these darts. You might have 10 of these darts. It just depends on your body shape. So when I'm finished, I'm just going to do one more. And again, this is if you're sewing from scratch. So we're all finished, right? So what we had a straight waistband, and now what do we have? We have, this is, if you ever buy a pair of jeans that are really comfortable, I'll bet you the waistband is more curved like this. See the difference? So now it will match around. Now I have a belt on, so it won't work on me, but it will be higher in the front, a little bit lower in the, higher in the back, lower in the front. It'll fit your jeans. You have room to move and no plumber. And that's an easy way to take just a standard pants pattern and turn it into something custom for you. So that's my quick tip for the day. Emily, mine was way faster, but that's because I've been shooting pants all day.
That's a great way to make a curved, a curved waistband that's actually going to fit you perfectly. So I love that.
Right. And you know what's funny is if everybody's body shape is so different. So my curve might be this big and somebody else might be this curved and somebody else might be straight. So that's just a quick way to do that.
I love it.
Yeah. So all about pants, I guess it is this week, except you made a skirt, which is very cute. So let me put your blog up for people who are just popping in that have never been to your blog before. I had it up here a second ago. Bring this up because you have a ton of great tutorials on there. And I also, here it is. Blog.brothersews.com has some great tutorials. And I believe all the new ones are going up this week. So there's all the new ones for the next month. There's new embroidery designs, all fun things like that. So yeah, very cool tip. I really like that. So, all right. So what are you working on the rest of the week? Anything exciting? You look pretty busy.
I'm actually working on making an adult version of that skirt that I just shared. So 1, we can be matching, and 2, because it's been on my to-do list for forever. So pretty simple, but the adult one will have a few darts and the kids version didn't. So I'm just working on, drafting that, and then I will be hopefully getting that sewed up, at least in my size, later this week. And I also have plans for a bag, but I haven't gotten very far on that, and working on my brother posts actually for November. So some fun holiday things coming your way on the Brother Sews blog in November.
Very exciting. And be sure to visit her blog as well. Now, let's see. What else is coming on this week? Tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, there's a live show on my page. Today at 4:30 is Cindy Hogan talking about software. Tomorrow, 1:30, I'm going to show you how to embroider the back of pockets. While we're talking about pants, what a fun way to take a machine, regardless of what level machine you have, add some bling to it, right?
Nice. Yes.
That's going to be fun. And how to do it where you're not stretching the pockets out. So that's tomorrow. And then on Thursday, we have Jerry Granata and Barbara Jones that are coming on. You might not have seen them on here lately. They were here a couple weeks ago when all of the educators were on, or many of them were, and they're going to talk about quilting. And
fun.
One is free motion quilting and one is quilt embroidery, which is the new thing, which is what I like. So that's what's happening this week. And you guys can leave your comments. You can message either one of us if you have personal questions. And it's so great to see you all. I'm watching, Marianne said that your tip was so great if you're losing weight.
It really would be a way to get more wear out of some pants for a while, or post-pregnancy, or, whatever, when you're changing shapes.
Yeah, Yeah, whenever that is, depends what day it is, right? Yes. All right, can you smell that cheesecake? Because I'm thinking it's. I got one more quick question. Sherry had a quick question for you. If you don't know, I can help too. But how did you add the elastic to pre-made pants?
So I would unpick the waistband at the side seams is what I would do. And you don't need to really do the whole waistband. But if you can just unpick a couple inches on both sides of the side seam and open it up, then you'll be able to add a buttonhole and sew the button on, and then you can sew it back down and just thread the elastic through. So really all you need to do is be able to lift the waistband enough to be able to stitch a buttonhole in there and then put it back down. So if you can unpick just that little bit, you'll be able to do it.
And for those that are working on jeans and you're having a little bit more of a problem, one more tip for older people is, and this is like crude, but nobody sees the inside of your pants, right? Usually. So you cut the inside of your jeans, like right at the waistband, just right inside, not on the outside, but just slash inside. And you can actually slide, if you do both sides, you can feed that elastic through and just stitch it to the sides. Now, that doesn't mean you have the buttonhole to make it larger and smaller, but if you leave yourself a little bit of elastic and you have a seam ripper, when you need to change it, you can. But you know what, if it, especially with the back gaping area, a lot of times you won't need to adjust that much. So two tips for you there.
Yes. Yeah. If you can't do a buttonhole, and especially if the fabric's not really going to fray badly, then just, cut it and thread it. It's easy.
Yeah. Shirley, on the adult waistband, do you sew in the darts or use the darted to cut a new waistband? Great question, Shirley. I actually will sew those darts, or actually I just leave them pinned, and I trace myself a whole new waistband. This is for sewing from scratch, of course. So yes. So awesome. All right. Well, this was a lot of fun. Everybody's saying yay. Hi, Glenda. Nice to see you. And so the ladies and I are going to go back to sewing pants. And it's great to see you, Emily. Can't wait till next month.
Good. All right. See you next month, everybody. Bye.
Bye.